Vikings-Rams, Monday Night Football. Vikings in SoFi Stadium, -1.5, over under 47. This game was played on a Thursday night in October. Sam Darnold missed face mask call, but they lose. Rams had their number in that game. I think that was kind of a telling performance, Dylan.
My problem here is going to, as the Rams, we can look at offensive statistics and we can add the context that they have not been fully healthy all year, but you can't look at these Rams defensive numbers and find any solace in the fact that they're going to be able to do anything right against the Vikings offense. That's the 5th best in EPA per dropback. Now their rushing attack isn't as great, but you also conversely have, is Darnold going to lay an egg? Darnold did not look great against the Lions. That's a performance that it's very possible we see that again from him. I make the Vikings a 6-point favorite here. And simply put, I was on the Rams when they played and the Rams won the last time they faced off. I don't think I can take the Rams again. And it's scary. I think there's a part of me that says Stafford's been here before, McVay's been here before. But the Vikings offense, especially in the air, I think just offers too much. We're seeing the Vikings get another guy incorporated in this offense, Jalen Naylor. He's looked great the last couple of weeks. And I think you add another guy in there that's another threat, takes a little bit of the pressure off Addison and Jefferson. I like the Vikings here. Yeah, I'm going Vikings.
Connor?
Yeah, I'm with you here, Dylan. Vikings, money line 1.5, whatever you want to say. Rams have allowed 4th most receiving yards to tight ends. TJ Hawkinson's back. He missed the first matchup, so I'll be targeting his props for sure. I hesitate because, like you said, McVay, Stafford against the blitz is usually pretty good. Like, we've seen the Rams in this spot before. But I'm going to trust the Vikings. I'm going to trust Sam Darnold. What I've seen all year, I think that game versus Detroit last week was, everything went wrong. And sometimes teams have those games where everything goes wrong and they couldn't convert inside the 10-yard line. And O'Connell called all the wrong plays and went for it on all the wrong 4th downs. I think everything just went wrong. And I think against the Rams defense that's been susceptible all year, I'm going to trust Sam Darnold to come back and have another great performance like we've seen all year long. I like the Vikings here. And, they'll cover the 1.5 money line, whatever you want to do. Give me the Vikings.
Ben, Vikings, Rams.
The Vikings are going to end their season with 2 losses to the Detroit Lions and 2 losses to LA Rams.
Oh, no. Wow.
You know what? You know what's in common with the Lions and the Rams? They have quarterbacks that do really well passing quickly out of the blitz. The first matchup, you're going to love this, Dylan. I'm going to quote PFF.
Oh boy!
So
yes.
according, I think this might be my first time.
Dust off that log.
So let me know how I do.
Pop in the cherry, the PFF cherry.
So in week 8, Stafford had 13 dropbacks against the blitz, completing 10 of 13 passes for 128 yards with no sacks taken and only 4 pressures allowed by the Rams O-line. So I just think this is a situation in which we see the Vikings lose to quarterbacks that are able to combat what Brian Flores is trying to do, which is trying to get after you, running 0 blitzes, making you have to, like what they do, like we saw it Sunday night, they'll run 0 blitzes where your offensive line, your running backs, they've got to let one guy free and you just got to rip it. You just got to be able to find a receiver quickly. I think with Kupp, I think with Puka, I think with Stafford, I think with McVay, they're able to do that. We saw them do that very effectively, not only against the Vikings in their first game, but when they had those bad O-line problems against the Lions in week 1. That was a long time ago. But I do think that this is a offense that is designed, tailor-made to defeat this Vikings defense. I do think Sam Darnold plays better. I think he puts up numbers. I think these wide receivers bounce back because these Rams cornerbacks are poor. That's an issue. I think it's a high-scoring game, but I think the Rams win it in a shootout.
This is the same game parlay game. If you want to want to bet parlays, you put Kupp and Nakua for 60 yards, Jefferson Addison for 60 yards, whatever you want to do. Just put up a bunch of parlay
Hawkinson
numbers.
too, like that's fine.
There's going to be yards in this game. There's going to be yards.
38-35 Rams.
Commanders, Bucks can also be in that same.
But that's a weird one where it's like, oh, Payne Durham gets a touchdown, and then you're sitting there like, oh man.
Yeah, but
you just bet Payne Durham.
Bucky Irving receptions feels great.
Yeah, true.
But also keep in mind with this pick, I don't like it because you guys know how I feel about Lions hosting Matthew Stafford again. I don't want to do it. That according to my picks, that's what I think is going to happen. So,
yeah, Karter.
This is a tough one. This is such a tough one.
It's the game of the weekend, I think.
Yeah, I went to this game back in October, and I was actually very impressed with Sam Darnold in that performance. I have to go Vikings. You have to go Vikings in this spot. The Rams defense cannot sustain itself in a playoff game. That's the issue. Now, I think Ben's right. I think Stafford and McVay are going to dice up this Vikings defense in the short game, the passing game, and whatnot. But there's another added element of that Vikings-Rams game that was kind of effed up was, one, short week, traveling multiple time zones, and also Puka Nacua wasn't supposed to play in that game, and he all of a sudden is healthy at the last second and gets, 9 targets, 7 receptions, 100-plus yards in that game. They know Puka's playing. They know Cup's playing. They know how to game plan for these things. And also TJ Hawkinson being back. I think that Rams-Vikings game last time was a sneaky fluke. I think it kind of was. Short week, traveling multiple time zones, like Dylan said. Now, I think they're, for the Rams' point of things, where you would say, okay, well, the Rams are going to have this advantage where the best players didn't have to play last week for Los Angeles, and the Vikings just played a brutal Sunday night football game against the Lions where they didn't look great. I don't think it matters. Give me Sam Darnold and the Vikings. I think Justin Jefferson has a vintage performance against the Rams.
I like it.
All Vikings.
I like Minnesota here too. You got to trust what you've seen all year. I was the last one to pull the trigger on them being true contenders, but they looked good. I'm not gonna discount them for that one bad performance against Detroit.
Kyron Williams got 7 targets in their last matchup. I mean, they're just check down city in this game.
Yeah.
Too bad you can't bet on Blake Corum to get a touchdown this week. Sorry, guys.
I can't lose money again. Crap. Oh, that's the worst.
Just double up on Haskins.
Yeah, double up on Haskins. And also, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll go ahead. Ladies first.
You
go ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Jordan Addison has been lights out since this Rams game. This dude has stepped up in a major way. Obviously, he didn't have a great game against the Lions last week, but weeks 10 through 16, Dylan, he's been phenomenal. And in this last matchup, he only had 3 targets, 2 receptions, 22 yards. He's going to get a heavy dose in this game. Love the Vikings, Dylan.
Yeah, I think he's got to bounce back because did you see his stats against the Lions?
What stats?
0 receptions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tony Snell.
I need to say this. Anytime we're talking about a game that involves the Chargers or the Rams playing at home because the fans get really upset with this. But, I mean, it's going to be 75% Minnesota Vikings fans, right?
I don't think so in this spot. I was at that last game. The Rams is different than the Vikings.
Karter. I'm just saying it.
Or you mean the Rams is different than the Chargers?
The Chargers, yeah.
Yeah.
I know you're saying it, but I don't want you to just say it to say it. Come on.
And then, okay, I hear that. Slander the good name of the show.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay.
You're on thin ice, Dylan, after what you put us through on Twitter recently.
Yeah.
What I post on Twitter?
I'm just blowing up my notifications with hate comments.